Before you do anything else, check your pocket now, because what you're casually spending as a 1-cent coin could actually be hidden wealth sitting right in your hand. I'm talking about silent fortune, coins nobody talks about, coins people overlook every single day while collectors are fighting behind the scenes to get them. And here's the scary part. Some of these have already sold for real auction shock money, life-changing numbers. This is not hype. This is not fiction. These coins change everything. But if you don't know what to look for, you will spend them without a second thought. Do not spend these coins. In this video, I'm revealing the top 3 most valuable ultra-rare wheat pennies, and each one gets rarer, more dangerous to ignore, and more valuable than the last. You need to stay till the end, because what's coming next might already be sitting in your change. Coin number 1. There's a very specific kind of coin people throw away without even looking twice, and this is one of them. It doesn't shine. It doesn't sparkle. In fact, it looks wrong, dark, almost dirty, covered in grey-black layers like it's been buried, forgotten, or damaged. And that's exactly why people lose it. Because what looks like damage is actually the detail that changes everything. This 1946 wheat penny, no mint mark, has been quietly slipping through circulation for decades. People see the dull color and assume it's worthless. But collectors, they freeze when they see that exact surface, because that ugly look can be a signal of untouched history. And if you have this coin in very fine condition, you might be holding something far bigger than you think. Now here's where things start getting intense. 1946 wasn't just another year. It was the moment right after World War II ended, a time when the United States was under massive economic and industrial pressure. Factories were shifting. Materials were stabilizing. The mint was pushing out coins fast to meet demand as the country transitioned from war to peace. And when you combine speed, pressure, and mass production, mistakes happen. Variations happen. And more importantly, certain coins come out with surfaces and finishes that are never repeated again. This is one of them. The 1946 wheat penny without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia. No mint mark means it came from the main US mint facility where production volume was intense. But here's the twist. While millions were made, almost none survived in this kind of condition, with that grey-black layered appearance intact. Most were cleaned, polished, destroyed by people trying to fix them. And that right there erased their value forever. Listen carefully, never clean this coin. That dark toning, that uneven antique surface, that's not dirt. That's history sealed into the metal. Once you remove it, the silent fortune disappears instantly. Now hold this coin in your mind. On the front, Abraham Lincoln's profile. Calm, strong, facing right. The word liberty to the left, the date 1946, stamped clearly, and in God we trust, above. Nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, but flip it over. 2 wheat stalks curve upward along the edges, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. It's simple, almost humble, and yet collectors obsess over this design, because it represents an era that's gone forever. The composition of this coin is 95% copper, with a small mix of tin and zinc. That copper, over decades, reacts with air, moisture, and time. That's what creates those deep, grey-black layers. Not damage, but transformation. And here's where it gets physical. This coin weighs about 3.11 grams. It has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Its thickness, around 1.5 millimeters. But what collectors feel isn't just the weight, it's the presence. The slightly thicker edge, the worn but intact lettering, the texture that tells you this coin has lived through something. And yet, it survived. That's the real rarity, because survival is everything. Most 1,946 pennies were spent, scratched, dropped, corroded, or cleaned into oblivion. Finding one in very fine condition, with original toning intact, is like finding a message from the past that nobody else noticed. And collectors, they're not just buying coins. They're chasing moments. They're chasing untouched pieces of history. And this coin sits right in that obsession. Now let's talk about something most people completely miss: the missing mint mark. There's no D, no S, just blank space under the date. To most people, that means nothing. To collectors, it's everything, because it tells a story of origin, production pressure, and distribution. And when paired with the right condition and surface, it becomes a very specific target. That's why when one of these shows up in the market, especially with that grey-black layered look, it doesn't just sell. It triggers quiet competition, private offers, collector networks, people holding back, waiting, watching. And when it finally hits auction, that's when things get aggressive, because nobody wants to lose it. Today, a 1,946 wheat penny like this, no mint mark, very fine condition, original dark layered toning, has reached a market value of $323,000. Let that sink in. $323,000 for a coin most people would toss into a jar. This is not pocket change. This is hidden wealth. This is silent fortune. And the most dangerous part? You could still find it. In a drawer, in an old jar, in loose change, but only if you know what to look for. So here's what you check first. Look at the color. If it's too shiny, be careful. It may have been cleaned. That kills value instantly. Check the date, 1946, no mint mark under it. Look for that deep, gray-black layered surface. Not polished, not fake, natural, uneven, real. And if you think you have it, do not spend this coin. Get it professionally graded. That step alone can be the difference between a few dollars and life-changing money. Because grading locks in authenticity. It protects the coin, and it tells collectors this is the real thing. And remember, patience creates wealth. The people who rush, lose. The people who hold, win. Now here's the part most people don't expect. This coin, as valuable as it is, as rare as it feels, it's not even the most shocking one on this list. The next wheat penny is even harder to find, even more misunderstood, and the reason collectors lose sleep when it appears. And if you thought this one was easy to miss, the next one is almost invisible. Next up, coin number 2. Most people remember 1,943 pennies for one reason. They're supposed to be steel. That's what you've been told your whole life, right? Silver-looking, lightweight, magnetic coins. That's the story everyone knows. So when someone sees a dark, grey-layered 1,943 penny that doesn't look shiny or clean, they assume it's damaged. They assume it's worthless. They assume it's just another mistake. And that assumption is exactly how people lose a $315,000 coin without even realizing it. Because this isn't just any 1,943 penny. This is the Denver mint version, with that tiny D mint mark hiding under the date, and it carries a surface the collectors don't ignore. They hunt for it. That deep gray, almost smoky layered appearance? That's not damage. That's the fingerprint of history under pressure. And if you miss it, you miss everything. Let me take you back for a second, because this is where the story turns into something bigger than just a coin. 1943 was one of the most intense years in American history. The United States was deep in World War II. Copper, used in pennies for decades, was suddenly too valuable. It was needed for ammunition, wiring, military equipment. So the US Mint made a radical decision. They changed the metal. Pennies were struck using zinc-coated steel instead of copper. It was faster, cheaper, and necessary for the war effort. But here's what nobody tells you. That transition didn't happen perfectly. Mints were under pressure. Machines were overworked. Materials were inconsistent. And in Denver, where this coin was struck, production conditions created subtle but powerful variations. Not every steel penny came out the same. Some developed a darker, layered surface over time due to the zinc reacting unevenly with the steel underneath. Others were mishandled, stored in unpredictable environments, or simply aged in a way that created a unique texture collectors now obsess over. And that's where this coin separates itself. Because an extra fine condition 1943D wheat penny with natural grey layered toning is not common. It's a survivor. Think about it. Steel coins rust. They degrade faster than copper. Most 1943 pennies didn't make it through the decades in strong condition. They were thrown away, damaged, or completely destroyed by moisture and time. So when one shows up with sharp details still visible, strong wheat lines on the reverse, Lincoln's profile still defined, and that untouched grey layered surface, collectors don't hesitate. They lock in. Now hold this coin in your imagination again. On the front you've got Abraham Lincoln, steady, familiar, but in 1943 something feels different. The surface doesn't glow like copper. It carries a colder, industrial tone. Around him, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1943 sit firmly pressed into the metal. And just below that date, that tiny D, that single letter, is everything. Because it tells you this coin came from the Denver Mint, a facility known for high production during wartime, but also for creating coins with subtle differences that collectors chase decades later. Flip it over. The wheat stalks are still there, curving inward like they're protecting the center. 1 cent, United States of America, clean, balanced, strong. But in extra fine condition, those wheat lines, they're still crisp. Not flat, not worn away. That's rare. Now let's talk about what this coin actually is made of, because this is where it gets even more interesting. Unlike traditional pennies, this one is primarily steel, coated in a thin layer of zinc. That zinc coating is what gives it that original bright look, but over time, it reacts. It darkens. It forms layers. And if untouched, if never cleaned, it creates that grey, almost ghost-like finish collectors recognize instantly. And I need to warn you right here. Never clean this coin. Not with water, not with chemicals, not with anything. Because the moment you strip away that natural surface, the value collapses. Completely. That layered toning is proof of authenticity. It's proof of age. It's proof that the coin hasn't been tampered with. Remove it, and you remove the story. Now physically, this coin feels different too. It weighs about 2.7 grams, lighter than copper pennies. It has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Its thickness sits around 1.5 millimeters. But the feel? Slightly sharper, slightly colder, a different kind of presence in your hand. And here's something most people miss. These coins can be magnetic. That alone confuses people. They test it, it sticks to a magnet, and they think, oh, just steel, nothing special. And that's the mistake. Because rarity isn't just about the metal. It's about condition. It's about surface. It's about survival. And this exact combination, 1943, Denver mint mark, extra fine condition, natural grey layered toning, is what turns an ordinary wartime coin into a silent fortune. Now let's talk about demand. Collectors are not casual about this coin. They don't just like it, they compete for it. Because it represents something very specific. A wartime coin that survived. A metal experiment that aged beautifully. A piece of history that still holds its original identity. And here's the truth. Most people who own one of these don't even know it. They see a dull grey coin and throw it into a jar. Or worse, they spend it. Do not spend this coin, because once it's gone, it's gone. And the person who gets it next, they might recognize it instantly. Now let's talk numbers, but not just numbers, a reality. A 1943D wheat penny like this, in extra fine condition with original grey layered toning, has reached a market value of $315,000. That's not a guess. That's not hype. That's what collectors are willing to pay when the right coin appears. And when it does, the room changes. Bidders get quiet. Offers come fast. Nobody wants to lose. Because coins like this don't show up often. Supply is shrinking every year. Collectors are holding, not selling. And demand? It's only going one direction. Up. So here's what you need to do right now. Go check your coins. Look for 1943. Look for that D mint mark. Look at the surface. Grey, layered, untouched. If it looks too perfect, too shiny, be careful. If it looks old, slightly dark, naturally aged, you might be looking at something serious. And if you think you found one, get it professionally graded. That step is critical. It confirms authenticity. It protects your coin. And it tells the market this is real. Without grading, you're guessing. With grading, you're holding proof. And proof is what turns curiosity into cash. This is not just a coin. This is a hidden opportunity people are accidentally losing every single day. And what comes next makes this one look easy to find. The next wheat penny is surrounded by confusion, mystery, and one tiny detail that almost nobody notices. But once you see it, you can never unsee it. And it might be the most dangerous coin to ignore on this entire list. Next up, coin number 3. There's a coin people actively avoid touching. Not because it's rare, not because it's valuable, but because it looks contaminated. Green spots, rusty brown patches, uneven color that feels almost wrong in your hand. Most people see it and think, this is damaged, this is corroded, this is trash. And that exact reaction, that's how a $285,000 silent fortune slips through fingers every single day. Because this 1948 wheat penny, no mint mark, was never meant to look perfect. It was never meant to shine. It was shaped by a moment in history where the United States was trying to stabilize itself after war, where materials, storage, and circulation conditions created coins that aged in unpredictable, almost chaotic ways. And those green spots, those rusty brown layers, that's not destruction. That's identity. And if you don't understand that, you lose the coin. Let's slow this down for a second, because what you're about to hear is something most people completely miss. 1948 was a year of adjustment. The war was over, but the aftershock was everywhere. Economic shifts, industrial restructuring, changes in how materials were sourced and used. The US Mint was back to producing copper-based pennies after the steel experiment of 1943, but the system wasn't perfectly clean or controlled. Coins were being struck, stored, transported, and circulated in environments that weren't always ideal. Humidity, improper storage, metal inconsistencies, and over time, something started happening to certain coins. They developed green oxidation spots, small, uneven marks caused by copper reacting with the environment. Alongside that, areas of deeper rusty brown toning formed, giving the coin a layered, almost textured look. Now here's where it gets dangerous to ignore. Most people see those spots and immediately try to clean them off. They scrub, they polish, they try to fix it, and in that moment, they destroy the value permanently. Listen carefully, never clean this coin. Those green and brown formations are not flaws, they are proof. Proof that the coin has aged naturally. Proof that it hasn't been artificially altered. Proof that it carries its original surface. And collectors, they don't run from that. They chase it. Because finding a 1948 wheat penny in fine condition with those exact natural surface characteristics intact is incredibly difficult. Now picture the coin in your hand. The front, Abraham Lincoln, steady and familiar, facing right. But instead of a clean copper glow, his profile is surrounded by patches of green and deep brown, almost like time itself settled onto the surface. In God we trust arches above. Liberty sits to the left. The date, 1948, is stamped clearly. And right under that date, nothing. No mint mark. That absence tells you everything. This coin came from Philadelphia, the main US. Mint, and during that time, production volume was high. But here's the twist. While millions were produced, almost none survived with their original surface untouched, especially with those natural oxidation patterns still visible. Flip the coin over. The wheat stalks frame the edges again, curving inward protectively. 1 cent stands bold in the center, with United States of America beneath it. But in fine condition, something very specific happens. The details are worn, but not gone. You can still see the structure. The wheat lines are softer but present. The lettering is clear but aged. It's not perfect, and that's exactly what makes it valuable. Because perfection in old coins often means interference, cleaning, polishing, artificial restoration. But this coin, it survived honestly. Now let's talk about what it's made of, because this is where those green spots come from. The 1948 wheat penny is composed of 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc. Over decades, copper reacts with oxygen and moisture, forming oxidation, what you see as green spots. That reaction is natural. It's slow. It's unpredictable. And when left untouched, it becomes desirable. The rusty brown areas, that's deeper toning, another layer of aging that collectors recognize as authentic. Together, they create a surface that can't be replicated. And that's what makes this coin stand out. Now, physically, it weighs about 3.11 grams. It has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Its thickness sits around 1.5 millimeters. But again, it's not just about measurements. It's about feel. A slightly worn edge, a surface that isn't smooth, a texture that tells you this coin has been through decades of life and survived without being altered. That's rare, because most coins like this didn't survive. They were cleaned, damaged, discarded, or worse, spent without a second thought. Do not spend this coin, because once it leaves your hand, you may never see it again. And the person who gets it next might understand exactly what it is. Now here's where things get intense. Collectors don't just want this coin, they study it. They look at the placement of green oxidation, the depth of brown toning, the consistency of wear, the absence of cleaning marks. These tiny details decide everything. This is not casual collecting. This is precision. This is obsession. And when a coin like this appears in the market, fine condition, original green and brown surface, no mint mark, it doesn't sit. It moves quietly. Private sales, Collector networks. People holding on to it once they get it. Because supply is shrinking. Every year, fewer of these exist in original condition. And demand? It keeps rising. Because collectors know something most people don't. You can't recreate time. You can't fake decades of natural oxidation perfectly. And you definitely can't undo cleaning damage. That's why patience matters. That's why knowledge matters. And that's why this coin, this overlooked ugly coin, is worth $285,000 today. Let that hit you. $285,000 for something most people would ignore. This is hidden wealth. This is a life-changing opportunity hiding in plain sight. So here's what you need to do right now. Check your coins. Look for 1948 check, under the date, no mint mark. Study the surface carefully. If you see green spots, don't panic. If you see brown layers, don't clean them. That's exactly what you want. And if you think you have it, get it professionally graded. That step is not optional. Grading confirms authenticity, protects the coin, and unlocks its true market value. Without it, you're leaving everything to chance. And this is not something you gamble with. Because this coin, this quiet, overlooked piece of metal, could be the difference between pocket change and a serious financial breakthrough. Most people miss this. They look at the surface and walk away. But now you know better. Now you see what others don't. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because these coins are out there, still circulating, still ignored, still waiting for someone to recognize them. And that someone could be you.